name is John William Carey, always been known as Jack, born in Fremantle on 19th of 6th, 1922. Well, really, I had a good mate, and he said to me one day, let's join the army. I was only 18 and put my age back, and it was accepted, God knows how, and the mother and father weren't too happy, but they went along with it. Yeah.
All the volunteers, 500 of us, were paraded and approached by a major who said, I want volunteers to go into enemy country in small groups, 6 or 7 men together. Take one step forward. And out of the 500, 12 of us stepped forward.
My name is Abraham Jacobus Brody, but they always call me Ben. Or at that time was a Portuguese colony, and they only had a very small army. And we know that Japan wants to attack Portuguese Timor because at that time Timor had an airstrip and a harbour, so if they get Timor, they can attack Australia.
Well, the early training was at Northam. We went from Northam to, by train, travelled in the train. Later on it became cattle trucks, but and we went to Caulfield Racecourse. We were in the stables there for about a week, and then we all went down to Foster and by train, and were transferred from Foster out to Wilson's Promontory. The cold and the conditions there were tough. We were roused at about 3 o'clock in the morning on the 7th of December and told to be ready to leave the camp at 6 o'clock. And we'll be going to Darwin. We mucked out and cleaned the cattle trucks and got in them. And when we got to Darwin on the 8th, we'd found out Pearl Harbor had been bombed, and the Americans had started the war. We got on the Zealandia, and the lumpers were loading the ship and taking their time, of course, and we just had to wait. And I think we sailed on the 10th, and we were a complement of about 250 we would have been on, and there was a lot of the 2nd, 40th blokes. We were only there 2 days where they sent us up, and they said that position had been changed and we're going to Portuguese East Timor at a place called Dili. And that's the first most of us had ever heard of it. You know.
We were just instructed to report to the harbour at Darwin, and on arrival there was a small destroyer, World War I, proved to be the Voyager, and 250 of us were marched onto the vessel. There was so little room, I couldn't find any space on the deck. So I got on top of a gun turret, and we moved on, not knowing where we were going.
When we were in Dili, it's a terrible area, flat and mosquitoes, and we all, 90% of us got malaria. And so it kicked shit out of you early, and Dunkley said, no, you're going to keep these men down here. Get them up into the hills where they'll recuperate. The fact that we all moved out, bar one platoon, one section, meant that when the Japanese did invade Dili, we had about 20 kilometres start on it.
That within 24 hours we were being approached by the natives as criados, and the lad that I received was Dickie, called himself Dickie, aged 12, and he said to Alan, may I take your pack? Within hours, every second, fourth man had received a criado. Some were good, some not so good.
We hardly get in touch with Australians because they got their own area to patrol, and we got our own area. But sometimes we meet them somewhere, and we sit down, and the Australians always said to us, boys, when you go to Australia, you have to talk like an Australian. So, and most of the non-commissioned officers at high school, where they teach us a bit of Australian, just plain, like the cat sit on the mat, the blind beggar, the house on the hill. How could you make decent conversation with short things? But you have to talk like an Australian. How Australian talk? I said, bloody this and bloody that and bloody that.
But we travel very lightly. We finished up with bugger all. You just have a light haversack with, might have a change of shirt in it, and had your ammunition and your rifle or whatever. But the fact that we travel lightly enabled us to engage the Japanese in, short, I suppose, short bouts.
We would lie in the grass and wait until there were just a few, or 30 metres from us, and then shoot them.
We couldn't have, in no stage could we have stood up to them, because there'd only be 30 or 40 of our blokes, and there might be 300 or 400 Japanese,
The moment that they heard or saw evidence of our attack, they would come out from either side of us and send troops to try and encompass us. But we would not remain. We'd just make it a quick kill and escape.
Suddenly, the Japanese came in the trucks, and the front truck noticed that the bridge was damaged, because we damaged the bridge, and he stopped, and the whole convoy of the 6 trucks have to stop. So then we got the order from Lieutenant Zijlstra to open fire. So we did. And we saw Japanese falling out of the trucks. Some of them just jumped out of the trucks because they can't turn around on that particular road. It was too narrow for the trucks to turn around. So they were really trapped. And we didn't wait to see how many Japanese were killed, but we just run away from where we were and back to the jungle where we feel we are safer.
I suppose within hours of landing, we discovered evidence of the ruthlessness of the Japanese when we reached the village of Ainaro, which was a very pretty village and had a small church, and we learnt there that the Japanese had doused one of the priests with kerosene and then ignited him, and the other priest was just shot in the church by the Japanese. So
in October, things started to get it completely out of hand. The Japanese brought troops, they didn't bring troops, natives down from West Timor, who all they wanted to do was to kill East Timorese, and there was a lot of people lost their lives. Blokes, what they do, they cut their heads off. They generally spare, if you're 14 or younger, they'll spare you, but if you're over 14, they just lop their heads off and put them on a stick and run around with them. And this was going on right until we left.
Tomorrow night, we expect a ship to come to take us to Australia. That was the first time I've heard that we were evacuated. We were hiding under mangroves because the Japanese sent their planes up to see if there any people around. There were so many. There were Australians, there were Dutch, Portuguese women and children. They're all there, and we were standing in mud and mosquitoes, sandflies, but we thought, oh, well, that is our only chance to go to Australia. So it took us two or 2.5 hours before everybody, they was very, very quick with the dinghies coming up and down, up and down. First the women, and then the children, and then the Dutch and Australian soldiers.
it meant, in the end, that we had to swim forward through the water to the surf line, and there we found a couple of the ship's boats were moving up and down this area in the darkness, picking up soldiers as they reached that point. And it was of such relief to feel that we were now in safe hands, but great sadness to have left our criados. Like others, I gave Dickie any silver I had in my pocket, and my pullover.
Be like hobos, see, unshaven, long hair, and all your uniform is not, they're not uniform anymore. They're all, you know, all like tattered and things like that.
Once on the ship's deck, it was an immense feeling of security. So many times in Timor I had accepted that we would not see Australia.
Well, at the time, I was still, you know, young, and I wasn't frightened, really. I wasn't frightened. In a fight, if we fight the Japanese during an ambush, suddenly all the feeling of being frightened is gone. All you're thinking is to kill, kill, kill. That's all what. And even with my boys, I said, what happened now when you're prisoners of war? They said, no, I don't want to be prisoner of war. You know, just hearing what the Japanese and the Koreans did to our boys that had been imprisoned, you know, cut the ears off and things like that. I said, I'd rather keep one bullet there for myself. He said, I don't want to be a prisoner of the Japanese.
One felt so disloyal that these youngsters had helped us to survive, and now we're saying, you go back into a hostile land. And I saw myself as his killer. So it's one of the heartaches and senses of shame I have carried for many years.
How they came about deciding to send troops into Dutch and our crowd into Dili or Portugal, East Timor, a neutral country, I'll never know. There was nothing there, nothing of any, military worth fighting for. The harbour was a disgrace, and the airstrip was about 800 metres, and wasn't any gain at all. As a result of the Japanese treatment, or lack of treatment, help, over 40,000 Timorese died, and that was more than all the casualties Australia had in the Pacific War. So you're soon forgotten. We've got a plaques in Kings Park, so long as Kings Park's there, we'll be around,